Master William, you have another visitor.
Man, that's unbelievable. Who the hell are they?
Yeah, nice personality means she's protected by Greenpeace.
The dark secrets behind The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air are more shocking than most fans ever imagined. While the show became a beloved 90s classic, viewers had no idea what was really happening off-camera. Will Smith's charm and the Banks family stories made it a worldwide favorite. But behind the laughter were feuds and hidden truths that only now are coming to light. What did the stars finally reveal that most fans never knew? Could the real story behind the show change the way you see it today? Join us as we explore some of the dark secrets of this sitcom that most did not realize. The real story behind the show. The majority of fans would have sworn the story behind The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was about Will Smith himself. After all, the character's name was Will Smith, and the storyline mirrored the idea of a young man moving from a tough neighborhood to a wealthy home.
Master William, you have another visitor.
Come on, G, please. I gotta get my homework done.
But the truth is far more surprising. The show wasn't based on Will's life at all. The original concept came from music manager Benny Medina in 1990. Medina had grown up in East Los Angeles, surrounded by poverty. His life changed dramatically when he moved in with a wealthy Beverly Hills family. That sudden change from a struggling environment to luxury inspired the foundation of the show. Medina wanted to capture the clash of cultures and the challenges of belonging to two very different worlds at once. While the premise of the show was already golden, Medina wanted to avoid the predictable tale of a black kid living with a white family. Instead, he gave it a groundbreaking twist, placing the lead character in a rich black family. That change allowed the show to dive deep into class differences and social prejudice within the black community itself. With that, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was born.
I say marry her. Man, you can stop that, Holmes. I'm breaking up with her, that's it.
When the project landed in Hollywood, Will Smith wasn't even on the radar. At the time, Will was mostly known as a rapper with DJ Jazzy Jeff. He was facing financial troubles and had never acted professionally. Yet producers saw something fresh in him. However, Will didn't join the project chasing fame. He was trying to escape a financial nightmare. At the time, Will and his partner, DJ Jazzy Jeff, had seen huge success with their album He's the DJ, I'm the Rapper, which went triple platinum. Flush with cash, Will splurged on luxury cars, designer clothes, and everything a young star could imagine. What he didn't splurge on, however, was taxes. When their follow-up album flopped, the money dried up and the IRS came knocking. Suddenly, Will was drowning in $2.8 million of back taxes.
There ain't no point in trying to reason with the man when the man is not trying to reason with you.
Then, on a trip to the Arsenio Hall show, Will tagged along with his girlfriend and happened to meet Benny Medina. Medina told him about the show, but Will hesitated. He wasn't an actor and wasn't sure about stepping into television. Still, Medina insisted he meet producer Quincy Jones, and that introduction would change everything. But little did Will know that introduction would throw him straight into the deep end of Hollywood, with no time to think, only to act. Would he rise to the challenge or walk away? Stepping into the world of showbiz. Fast forward to a legendary Quincy Jones party where it all started. Quincy handed Will a script in the middle of the chaos and demanded an audition on the spot. Will tried to buy time, asking for a week to prepare. Quincy refused and told him, "You can wait a week, or you can take 10 minutes and change your life forever." Just as expected, Will chose the 10 minutes. Nervous but determined, he performed in front of NBC executives at the party. His natural charisma lit up the room, and the network was so impressed that they drafted a contract immediately in a limo parked outside Quincy's home. By the end of the night, Will Smith had gone from a broke rapper to television's next big star. Still, the road wasn't smooth. For the first 3 years of the show, the IRS allegedly seized 70% of his paycheck, leaving him little to enjoy from his newfound success. While audiences watched a carefree teenager,
Oh, that's dope, Marge. You never gave up on what you believed in.
Oh, I do my best.
cracking jokes in Bel-Air, the man behind the scenes was paying off millions in debt. But despite that, Will gave the role his all, and all took the advice from people who had been in show business for a long time. Will shared in his memoir that co-star Alfonso Ribeiro, who played Carlton Banks, gave him advice that proved unforgettable. Ribeiro told him, "Use your real name for the character. That's what everyone will call you for life." Will listened, and the choice turned out to be genius. Imagine if the character had another name.
Operator, get me the FBI. Girl, what are you doing, man?
Fans today might not even link Will Smith, the actor, to the Fresh Prince. Instead, his own name became tied to a cultural phenomenon. But success wasn't guaranteed. If the show had flopped, Will Smith could have been remembered as nothing more than a failed TV experiment. Instead, the series became a massive hit, blending comedy with social commentary. But while the cast delivered heartfelt performances on screen, what was happening off-screen was a very different story. Could the warmth of Uncle Phil's world really hide the chaos brewing behind the camera? Chaos in the writer's room. On screen, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air felt fun, but behind the camera, things were far from smooth. The making of the show was filled with chaos that few fans ever knew about. Take the writer's room, for example. According to a 2017 New Yorker profile of writer Gigi Cohan, the creative hub of the series was anything but fresh. Instead of collaboration, it was a toxic battlefield. Writers fought constantly, worked brutal hours, and endured a downright hostile environment. Tensions only grew worse because Will Smith's bodyguard and cousin were also on the writing staff, clashing with professionals who were already under pressure. The atmosphere got so ugly that pranks turned cruel. One notorious incident involved someone urinating in a co-worker's tequila bottle. For Cohan, one of just 2 women in the room and the only white female writer.
Just wait for me to freshen up a little. But speaking of pictures...
The experience was even harsher. She was saddled with an offensive nickname that targeted both her race and religion. The laughs viewers saw on TV were born out of a messy, mean, and mentally exhausting process. But if the writer's room was chaotic, the drama among the cast was even louder. The most infamous conflict came between Will Smith and Janet Hubert, the original Aunt Viv. On screen, Aunt Viv was Will's fiercest defender. Off-screen, their relationship collapsed into a feud that would haunt the show for decades.
He's cute.
I know he is. Well, I'm gonna take a swim before dinner.
Good luck, Mom. The pool heater's broken.
Janet has often said that Will's youth and inexperience made him determined to dominate the spotlight, even if it came at her expense. She insisted she was never difficult on set, pointing to her professionalism and work ethic. But rumors spread quickly. By the time season 4 arrived, Janet was gone, and whispers claimed Will had played a role in pushing her out. Her co-stars offered different accounts. Alfonso Ribeiro, who played Carlton, described the cast as one big family.
That's all you gotta say to get rid of him? I've been racking my brain.
Except for Janet. He claimed she clashed with people so often that the atmosphere became unbearable. By the second season, it was unacceptable, he recalled, painting her as the outlier in an otherwise harmonious group. Janet strongly rejected those claims. She maintained that she had never stormed off set or created chaos. For her, the narrative that branded her as difficult was a lie that destroyed her career. She later revealed she begged her castmates to clear her name after personal tragedies, but no one stepped forward. Yet the show moved on without her, and with that shift came a startling realization for fans. Aunt Viv would never be the same again. How could one recast change the spirit of a character so completely? A startling realization. When Daphne Maxwell-Reid replaced Janet Hubert as Aunt Viv, fans immediately noticed a sharp change. The once fiery, ambitious Vivian Banks became quieter and less central to the story. No longer a driving force in her children's lives, she abandoned her teaching role and faded into the background, a change that left many viewers disappointed. The truth behind Hubert's exit only came to light years later. In 2020, after decades of silence and speculation, she sat down with Will Smith for a long-awaited conversation.
Will is going to go to Bel-Air Academy with Carlton.
Oh, good for you, Will.
Contrary to the widespread belief that she had been fired, Hubert revealed that she was offered a contract that didn't work for her, and when she refused, producers decided to recast. Behind the scenes, she was also enduring an abusive marriage, which added to her struggles. Janet spoke openly about the damage caused by being labeled difficult, explaining how it destroyed her career and reputation. She emphasized how harmful such labels are, especially for Black women in Hollywood.
But we knew how to partay, too.
Did we ever? Oh, remember Woodstock? Yes.
Will, on his part, admitted he was young, overwhelmed by sudden fame, and regretted how he handled the situation. The interview was a rare moment of reconciliation, with Will acknowledging her vital contribution to the show and to his own growth. But The Fresh Prince wasn't just about behind-the-scenes feuds. It also delivered some of TV's most emotional moments. What were some of the most emotional moments? Behind the laughs of Fresh Prince. One of the most unforgettable episodes on the show was Papa's Got a Brand New Excuse. In this episode, Will's character is crushed when his father abandons him yet again. What made the scene legendary was that Will ad-libbed much of the dialogue.
Great birthdays without him. He never even sent me a damn card. To hell with him!
Pouring out raw pain that left the audience in tears. While many assumed he drew from his own life, in truth, Will had a supportive relationship with his father. It was his pure acting talent on display. James Avery, who played Uncle Phil, played a huge role in shaping that scene. He guided Will through his nerves, reminding him to channel the emotion naturally. At the climax, as Will broke down in Uncle Phil's arms, Avery whispered in his ear, "That's acting right there." It became one of television's most powerful and unforgettable moments, proof that The Fresh Prince could break hearts just as easily as it made audiences laugh. One of the most memorable running gags was Uncle Phil tossing Jazz out of the Banks' mansion. Fans long assumed the scene was shot once and reused.
Until I see some insurance papers.
But the truth is a bit more complicated. DJ Jazzy Jeff, who played Jazz, was committed to the slapstick bit, but it wasn't without pain. During the original filming, even with safety measures, he ended up battered and bruised from being thrown around so many times. After that, he convinced producers to reuse the same footage whenever the gag returned. To keep it consistent, he wore the same shirt whenever a new throwout was needed. The joke lost its surprise factor for the actor, but the compromise preserved both continuity and his safety. Life on set also had its quirky, more personal moments. Karen Parsons, who played Hilary Banks, once revealed that the cast kept a journal in a kitchen drawer on set. It wasn't just any notebook, it was a space where cast and crew could jot down whatever was on their minds. Sometimes it held poetry, but other times it carried frustrations about colleagues or the long hours. Anyone could read the entries, meaning it wasn't private, but rather a shared outlet. Parsons ended up keeping the journal and looked back on it with fondness. What some might see as a risky way of handling workplace tension, the cast seemed to embrace as a creative and open way of airing feelings. Not all of the behind-the-scenes stories were lighthearted, though. When the show ended in 1996 after 6 seasons, fans assumed the conclusion was carefully planned as a natural farewell. In reality, the end came largely from Will Smith's ambitions. By then, Smith had grown tired of television and wanted to fully launch his movie career while his name was still hot.
We shipping to the same place?
Yes, sir.
All right. That was your best ever.
At the same time, the show's ratings had started to decline, giving Smith leverage to persuade NBC that it was the right moment to wrap things up. The decision proved right for Smith. He went on to become one of Hollywood's biggest stars, headlining blockbusters like Independence Day and Men in Black within just a year of The Fresh Prince ending. For his co-stars, though, the transition wasn't so smooth. Without the same global recognition, many of them struggled to land roles that matched the momentum they had gained on the sitcom. Some critics have even debated whether Smith's influence, pushing for the cancellation, ended up hurting the careers of his castmates. Still, the finale we got was far more satisfying than what the network originally planned. Instead of a hasty wrap-up, the goodbye carried weight, showing the Banks family moving on while leaving fans with a sense of closure. And part of what made those stories shine wasn't just the writing or the laughs. It was the deep connection between the people who brought it all to life. How strong was the bond that held the cast together, both on screen and off? Emotional highs and cast bonds. From the very beginning, the group treated one another like family, and that chemistry translated beautifully into the show's warmth. Will Smith often described his co-stars as siblings, and the friendly spirit on set created an atmosphere where everyone felt supported. At the heart of it all was James Avery. More than the stern yet loving Uncle Phil audiences adored, he was a mentor and father figure in real life. Colleagues remembered him as a teacher, a protector, and a guiding presence who held the cast together.
Well, I'm afraid he was mistaken. I'm a lawyer.
Will often spoke about how much James meant to him, calling him a rock both physically and emotionally. His wisdom shaped not only Will's acting, but also his growth as a person. When James Avery passed away in 2013, the loss was felt far beyond the show. Fans mourned the man who had defined one of television's greatest father figures, while the cast grieved the anchor who had given them strength and unity. Even today, his influence remains deeply woven into the legacy of the Fresh Prince.
Did you happen to catch Rocky V?
Anyway.
Of course, not every story from the set was heavy. Will Smith once confessed that, early in the series, he tried asking Karen Parsons, Hilary Banks herself, out on a date. Karen quickly turned him down, and in hindsight, Will admitted it was for the best. Staying friends meant they could focus on their work without unnecessary drama. It's a small what-if moment, but one that shows how keeping things professional helped the show flourish without complications. But while their off-screen bond stayed steady, the show itself wasn't guaranteed the same stability. What happens when a beloved series suddenly faces the threat of ending too soon? How the Fresh Prince refused to fade. Many fans don't realize that the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air actually faced an early ending. In 1994, NBC aired The Philadelphia Story, an emotional episode that was meant to serve as the series finale. At the time, the network decided to pull the plug after season 4, believing the show had run its course. Viewers were crushed. For millions who had grown up with Will, Carlton, and the Banks family, it felt like saying goodbye far too soon. But fans weren't ready to let go. Letters began flooding NBC, with viewers practically begging for more episodes. Even Will Smith received personal notes urging him to keep the magic alive. The response was so overwhelming that the network had no choice but to reconsider. Against the odds, fan mail saved the show and NBC renewed it, giving audiences not just one more season, but 2. By the time season 6 arrived,
That sounds very sensible.
Aunt Viv, this is all before we had salads.
Well, why don't you just tell her you're not interested?
the end was finally in sight. Joseph Marcel, the actor behind the beloved butler Jeffrey, announced he was returning to the UK. That was the signal for the rest of the cast and crew that it was time to wrap things up for good. Interestingly, the producers had always been cautious about renewal. They wrote the finales of seasons 3, 4, and 5 in ways that could serve as farewells, just in case the network pulled the show. But season 6 was different. Everyone knew it would be the last dance. Although ratings had dipped by then, the cultural impact of the show was undeniable. The Fresh Prince had gone from a risky experiment starring a rapper-turned-actor to one of television's most beloved family comedies. Its mix of comedy, heart, and cultural commentary left an imprint that continues to resonate decades later. For years afterward, the idea of a revival seemed laughable.
No, she's just kidding around, Carlton. That's what makes it so much fun.
Will Smith himself once joked that a reboot would only happen when hell freezes over. Fans accepted that the Banks story was sealed in television history. But then, something unexpected happened. In 2019, filmmaker Morgan Cooper uploaded a fan-made trailer titled Bel-Air. Unlike the lighthearted sitcom, this version was dark, dramatic, and cinematic. It reimagined the story with a sharper focus on social issues, class tensions, and the struggles of a young man uprooted from his home. The trailer exploded online, racking up millions of views. What began as a passion project
to a Sixers game when I was like 3 or 4. Did that happen?
Yeah!
suddenly had Hollywood buzzing. One of those viewers was Will Smith. Far from dismissing it, he was blown away. Instead of laughing it off, Smith reached out to Cooper and signed on as a producer to help bring this vision to life. In 2020, the industry went into a bidding war. Streaming giants like Netflix and HBO Max tried to secure the rights, but it was Peacock that landed the deal. On September 8, 2020, they officially announced a 2-season order for Bel-Air. What started as a fan's dream had become a high-profile reboot backed by the Fresh Prince himself. Fast forward to today, and Bel-Air has exceeded expectations. Now, in its 3rd season, the show has taken the beloved characters and placed them in a modern, layered world. After learning about all these behind-the-scenes secrets, do you see the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air in a completely new light? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.